I am at Dollar Tree. I love Dollar Tree, and I am challenging myself today to see if I can come up with a chic elevated tablescape for only $30. And I know you're probably saying $30 can take you so far in Dollar Tree. Yes, but that doesn't mean it's actually going to look good. So we're gonna head into Dollar Tree, see what we find, and try to achieve the Luxe look for less, because it doesn't matter to me how much money you have, where you come from, you deserve a beautiful home, and I'm gonna show you how to make it happen from Dollar Tree. So to make this a real challenge, I'm not going to another Dollar Tree. I can only go to this Dollar Tree. Now, have I selected one of my favorite Dollar Trees in Pittsburgh? Yes, but I didn't go to the designer Dollar Tree. Yes, we have a designer one. So we're gonna try and make this happen. We're gonna do a 4-person place setting, and it's going to work for like a Pottery barn, our house aesthetic, because I feel like that's what most of you love. And I wanna make this possible for you so that you can impress your guests, your sister-in-law, your mother-in-law, whoever's coming to your home. This collection I love. This was in my recent Dollar Tree video, so if you saw that, you saw these. I'm gonna walk around with this. I don't see the other pieces in it though. So
I think you could do that with a white.
I also love the studding on this. I feel like if it was more matte, it would look more high-end. So when you want to make a like dining arrangement look high-end, it's all about the layering. So you want a napkin, you want a salad plate, you want a dinner plate, you want a charger even. So the more layered and the more varied you can be, the better it's gonna look. I personally do not believe that everyone needs a charger, but if you're gonna get one, I actually would probably skip on something like this. I'm even more inclined to get something like this, though this is not the perfect gold. This is not my first pick, but this looks like it might more likely be a real metal, but I'm actually going to skip out on chargers altogether to achieve that high-end look. These look just like some ones that I have from Crate & Barrel that are like, I think $8 a piece, so I feel like this is pretty decent. I also really like these. If they didn't have these divots in them, the divots kind of make me think like beer, but I do like this. So if you wanted to serve alcohol or something like that, you could go with this champagne flute, which I think is pretty decent. This is also a red wine glass. This could be good, but I will say a lot of the time, they do serve red wine out of a glass like this. So this could just be a 2-for sort of situation. The person can choose water or wine, and we'll just see what happens. But I do like this one. I don't like the one that's a little bit bigger. I do like the tapered bowl that we have here. I think that just looks a little bit more luxe. So this is a big flour sack, but I feel like it can just be used as a napkin because it does look like linen. Like this is the alternative, this is the alternative. I feel like you just get a big napkin so you can be extra messy if you want to. That's a win in my book because I'm super messy. They sell 3 knives to every 6 spoons. I don't get it, but I respect it, and I'm gonna get them. They actually feel pretty decent. I will say, in the past, they bend. So these don't bend. I think the actual Dollar Tree brand ones do bend. Now, if you're more farmhouse or like a modern farmhouse or something, you could get these canvas squares. They're like a little easel, and you could do these like with names on there or like a little menu or something. Whenever I go to like an influencer event, they always have the menu on a chalkboard. Oh, it does not matter where I am. It's always on a chalkboard, so this could be fun if you do calligraphy or something. Probably don't have the budget for this, but if you wanted a charger and you wanted to like DIY it, you could get one of these square canvas panels and rub and buff it, or you could put some like plaster on it and you can make a charger like that and just seal it with like epoxy resin or something. I'm not going to do it again because it will cost too much money to do the DIY, but this is a good idea, and I'd probably put on the rub and buff with something like this. I already have these at home, but I honestly feel like this is a little bit more like Pottery barn because it's a little bit lighter, so I'm going to pick up some of these peach stems. I'm probably going to buy all the ones they have and maybe combine it. No, I don't like the flowers on that. Maybe with this or something for a little bit of a vibrant centerpiece, and then I'm gonna probably go with this as like the container and maybe separate them into 2 to make it feel like a larger piece even though it isn't. Or they do have really good lemons. They have good pears as well, and the oranges aren't bad. If you have like a pedestal bowl, you can just put those in there and then you have your centerpiece. So if you're into like more of a coastal look or more earthy look, it's always actually kind of fun to pick up something like this, a coastal pick, something like this that you can kind of fold into your napkin to kind of elevate it a little bit, and you can just take it out. And a lot of people use real ones, but then you have to worry about the debris. You can't really use the napkin if someone has allergies. So something like this is actually really great. And something like this is what you pass on. It just doesn't look super high end. I'd rather you get something that's more neutral than something like this, because this really limits you in terms of color, and you can see the pattern doesn't even fully go to the edge of the plate, and that's actually what we'd want to see. But for $1.25, this is a decent plate. And if you couldn't find those coastal sprigs like these ones, The lavender would also work really well. It's a little bit more feminine, but I would take off these leaves so that it looks a little bit more luxe. People love moss balls, but they're really hard to find and they can be expensive. So if you want to create them yourself, get these, cover them in hot glue. They will melt a little bit because it's a styrofoam, and just rub it in this floral moss, and then you can DIY your own moss balls. That might be a little bit more affordable if you can't find them locally, or you find out that they're just too bright green, because they tend to make them lime green and it just doesn't look very realistic to me. So we were going to use these to make like individual little floral place settings for everyone, but it seems like way too much effort and I'm not sure it's gonna work. But I'm gonna pick this up. I've got baking soda at home, but you can pick it up here at Dollar Tree for $1.25. I'm going to make it look like it's like earthenware and put it on the countertop, and this will be my centerpiece. My other idea, which I have way too many fire pits so I don't need to do this, but was to get one of these metal containers, put the kerosene in there, and then get the black rocks that they have here at Dollar Tree, fill it up, and then you'd have a little fire pit for your countertop. You could also take something like a planter tray like this, still do the baking soda thing, and do the moss ball hack I just told you about. And if you feel like you need some sort of tablecloth, you could get this. This is 30 inches by 10 feet, great runner size, even a tablecloth size, and you can like DIY something on it using a Cricut, using a stencil, something like that, but I'm just gonna omit that altogether and make it work. We did some serious damage at Dollar Tree yesterday, so now we are home and we're going to go through everything we picked up and create that tablescape. Again, we're going for like a modern, organic, Pottery Barn sort of vibe that is widely applicable, and think of it almost as like elevated coastal. So we're gonna have some color in there. This is not for the neutral lovers, but if you're liking this video, let me know down in the comments, because I would love to do more of these challenges for like maybe a different design style or a different part of the home. And before we jump in, let me just give you a look at my dining space. So again, we're going for like more of a coastal Pottery Barn inspired setup. So my space is a little bit more contemporary, but again, I want to show you how to do something that's like kind of more widely applicable, but you can do whatever you want. And we're doing a 4-person table setting just because on a more regular basis, that's how many people you're kind of serving, you and then like your couple friends or something like that. But again, you can expand as you see fit. But this is a look at my space. I'm giving you the really authentic look. The dog's in the background, the dog toys are everywhere because this is his world and we just live in it. But let's open up these Dollar Tree packages. And I'm gonna be honest, I got a few things that aren't necessarily for this video because that's what happens when you go to Dollar Tree, right? And honestly, my thought is we'll do a more simplified version and a more elevated version depending upon your budget, because I did end up just picking up everything that I thought could work, and then I'll give you different tiers. So depending upon your budget, you can kind of make some magic happen. So now let's take a look at everything I picked up. First, I got these bowls. So these bowls will be in like the splurge category of this, just because you don't necessarily need bowls. I feel like they don't end up getting used when you're having a dinner party, unless you're serving soup. I think it's more of like a salad or appetizer plate and then a dinner plate. For the salad plate, I decided to go with this one because it had some curved edges. So I wanted to mix up the shapes to make sure that this looked visually interesting, because I think something that separates like high-end design from lower-end design is the variability in the detail. And if we can't get something that's like textured or something like that in terms of detail, we need to mix up the shapes and the colors. And then for the dinner plates, I just went with these like seafoam ones. This is the brand Royal Norfolk, and again, each one was $1.25. To help fill out the table, especially if you're having a dinner party and you don't want to like have to wash dishes like mid-party, I got wine glasses and I got drinking glasses, but again, you could get 2 sets of these drinking glasses and use these for both wine or a different beverage and water if you like that look and you don't have anything to store something this tall in. My Dollar Tree, as I said, it did not have any forks in any variety, but I did get these spoons. So I got tablespoons, I got teaspoons, I got knives, and that's all they had. So I picked it all up and I made sure to get a variety of spoons to kind of compensate for the lack of fork. But again, you don't have to buy everything if you have some things at home. I also got these picks that I told you I was going to pick up, as well as this burlap. We actually found this on the way out in an attempt to make a little table runner. We'll see if it comes together. I got this burlap trim to actually help tie those napkins that we're going to create. And then these are the flour sacks that are supposed to substitute for napkins. And then we have these peaches. I already have the limes in my house, so I might end up using them, but those are also from Dollar Tree. But I have these peach stems, and then I have this planter. As I said in store, I can turn this planter into looking like a real like hammered vase, and I might do that, but I think for the basic one, I'll keep it as is, and then I'll insert the clips of the DIY if you want to elevate your place setting a little bit more and do that baking soda trick. And in terms of materials, the only thing I think we're going to need is a pair of scissors just to like trim my stems and things like that. But let's open up this flour sack and see what it's like, if it can pass as a napkin. Well, it's gonna, I mean, definitely. Okay, look at it so far. We're opening this up. Yes. Perfect. This is actually perfect. Let me give you an up close look. This really looks like nice linen fabric. So I feel like this is such a win for Dollar Tree. Again, you just have to shop different sections and kind of be imaginative with what something can be used for. I think the best way to start is to just set the table with the actual, like, I can't ever find the word, with the actual dinnerware, and then go from there in terms of decorations. But I am going to open up these forks and knives, or not forks. If you are not a dishwasher person, you can always get their cutlery and upgrade it using like some twine at the base or something like that. You'll have to hand wash it, right? Because the twine can't go through the dishwasher, but that could be a great way to get an elevated look for less. And upon first look, this burlap does shred quite a bit. So I'm not gonna put it on until the very end to save myself from all of that cleaning headache. So again, because we wanna mix up the shapes, this is so subtle, but ordinarily you'd put the salad plate like this, but I'm just going to turn it like that so that it looks almost like a diamond as opposed to a square. It's just subtle things like that that are going to make a huge difference. So the way we're going to make our napkins look really high end is to just do some fun napkin folding. So again, since this is like a flour sack, there are definitely some imperfections here. So we want to try and hide those. So I'm just gonna do a really basic folding of this napkin. This would honestly look better if you ironed it, but we're gonna go low maintenance and go from there. So I'm gonna take the seam up here that looks the prettiest, and I'm gonna fold it up like that. And then I'm gonna flip it over, and I am going to fold this over and over again until I have my little pocket. And I'm gonna keep this really nice and small so that it fits on our salad plate and it doesn't kind of overwhelm our setup. So now you can see we have like a nice little pocket for our silverware if we wanted to, or our pick. So you could just shove the silverware in there, but I want to fill up the table. That's kind of the goal here. So I'm just going to take my pick that we got from Dollar Tree, take this off to the best of our ability, because no one's really gonna see it. And we're just gonna shove it in this pocket here. So now you have this really nice little folded greenery here that isn't real, so it's not really messing up the napkin here. You can take it out and reuse it. And the really good thing about these is it does have floral tape on the bottom. So if you weren't able to find multiples, you can just pull it apart and use the stems as you see fit. But I think this is a cute little way to stack your napkin on top of your plate. So this is what I would do if I wanted to keep it simple and not buy anything extra. But again, if I wanted a little bit more detail, I could do some burlap trim with this. And honestly, I probably wouldn't even tie it. I would just cut down the burlap like so and wrap it around the back there. If I wanted to save money, if I wanted to splurge, I could, actually formally tie it. But in this pack, you only get a certain amount of this. So I think this is more than sufficient, but I like that little elevated touch. And again, if you wanted to do the more expensive version with the dinner bowl or with the bowl, I would set this on the side. I would put the fork in here, and then I would just place this bowl on top like so. This is a little bit more like cottagecore meets Pottery Barn and Williams Sonoma, and the other one is a little bit more like Coastal Studio McGee. Now that we've done one setting and we know what we want it to look like, I am going to set the rest of the table, and then we're gonna come back together and do our runner and like our fun decorative accents, so I'll see you then. And pro tip, you always wanna have a trash bag with you when you're doing Dollar Tree stuff, because they use an unnecessary amount of packaging and you don't want the debris to go absolutely everywhere. So this is something I like to keep along, especially to ensure that nothing gets stuck on the floor for someone to hurt their feet or for the dog to accidentally choke on. And because you don't actually want to rip things when it comes to Dollar Tree, because their items just are more fragile due to the price point. So you want to use scissors and you want to cut everything off to preserve items so that you're not buying duplicates out of fear of error. And this is all the silverware I didn't actually end up needing. So if you wanted to do the math like perfectly, you'd actually be saving money here, but I'm gonna include these because I bought them no matter what. And I didn't get the collection that you do per piece, that you could do per piece to keep it cheaper, but I'm not sure if they're like $1.25 a piece or if the price is reduced, so you'd have to check at your local store. And now I'm doing the napkin, followed by the pick. And I'm just alternating the picks because I couldn't find two of that one. And I didn't perfectly fold this napkin, so I'm just shoving the excess down and we're good to go. And I just do feel obligated to say this. I'm not actually entertaining with these right now, but when I do entertain with them, I will thoroughly wash them all. So keep that in mind. Please wash the things because you have no idea who touched them. Now that the table is set, we're gonna work on like the fun parts of it. So we filled it up with like all that we can, but the opportunities are limited at Dollar Tree, and yes, I'm taking a Dollar Tree peppermint break. These are the best peppermints on the planet. 10 out of 10 would recommend. But I feel like this is giving. If you wanted to stop here, you could literally just buy some pillar candles or get some candles you already have and kind of call it a day, or put a runner down. But I'm gonna pull out that burlap and see what we can do with it. So I just put the burlap down and it doesn't look bad. It just looks super farmhouse, and farmhouse isn't really my style. It might look better if I had more, but I just don't have more. So we're gonna eliminate this. So the runner really isn't working. So I'm gonna try and use like maybe a blanket that I already own or something to get myself the runner look without actually adding a runner. It just looks very crumpled and there's so much dust everywhere. You can see it on the floor. It's just really not working. Dollar Tree did have runners. I just really didn't like any of them. So I think I'm gonna go runner free for this. But again, you can use something that you already have. It's really affordable to pick up like a linen runner from like Amazon or Walmart for like $15. My other thought was, if you didn't end up using these as napkins, you could also use these as a runner. You could just kind of link two together and you could make a runner like that. But I'm not gonna do so because I think with this vase on top, it'll look good enough. Now I'm trimming off the tags on these faux peaches, and I'm going to trim off some of the leaves as well because the leaves aren't super realistic. So this will help, you know, sell it a little bit more. And every stem can't be perfect, so we want to create that imperfection. See, that's what happens when you don't use the scissor. Your peaches go flying. So I've trimmed a bunch of leaves off of these faux peaches and I just have them sitting here in case I want to use them. But to help fill this out, because I didn't buy any soil or anything like that, I'm just going to use this leftover burlap to kind of bolster it. And then I'm going to bend some stems at different angles to kind of like make it feel more realistic and full. It's feeling super bare to me without a runner. I just can't get over it. So I did something kind of silly. I went into my bedroom and I got a waffle blanket and I'm gonna use that as a runner. So grab anything in your house if you feel like you need a runner. It's not necessary, but I think it's just gonna elevate the look a lot. And just tri-fold it. That's going to be the way to get it into runner length. And when you're doing this, bunch it together so that it kind of like looks different in different places. It is just gonna give you a more elevated look. And of course, you can move this off the table when it's time to actually dine so that you don't ruin your stuff. But it's just all about working with what you already have. And you can see here, I'm kind of like opening it up in the middle so that my planter can kind of sit really evenly. And again, if you had pillar candles, you could put those on either side. I don't own any pillar candles that aren't LED because I'm terrified, but that's what you could do to take it to the next level even more. So for the more affordable tablescape, I didn't hit the budget. I came in a little bit over at $41.25 because again, the price went up to $1.25. So you need to take that into consideration. I could have cost by using fewer peach stems. I also could have omitted the centerpiece altogether or removed the burlap that I use for stabilization and just use leftover plastic or something from an Amazon package. I also could have saved money on my makeshift like napkin rings. And again, if you had cutlery already, that would be a really great way to cut some costs. But I am pretty happy with how this turned out for the price. Now I'm gonna remix it a little bit and do the more elevated version that's gonna cost a few more dollars. But no matter what, this entire thing will come in under $60 for an elevated tablescape from Dollar Tree. So to elevate this planter a little bit and make it look less like plastic, I am just grabbing some baking soda, which I already have because I use it for everything. Some white paint, which they do sell at Dollar Tree, but I already owned it. I'm putting a bunch of baking soda in here, and I'm going to mix it with the white paint, and it's going to look like ceramic a little bit. And I'm gonna have to do a few coats of this, but once I do so, it'll look like I actually have an elevated planter, not a plastic one. And again, I am using my Dollar Tree tarp. And I like it extra thick, to be honest, so that I don't have to do a bunch of layers, but it is definitely better to do a bunch of layers. But I would call myself a very, very, very lazy DIYer. So take that into consideration. Oop, my literal paintbrush just fell apart. Okay. So it's a nice thick consistency. Unfortunately, I already had heavy body paint, but I'm just going to brush this on. This would work definitely better if you sanded the vessel first, but again, lazy DIY. And the best thing you can do is kind of take your brush and move it haphazardly. And my brush fell apart again. You want to move it haphazardly because that's kind of how they paint the ones that you get at like a Pottery Barn or wherever else you like to buy them. And I don't paint the inside. If you want to paint the inside, just paint the upper rim. I guess I'll do that for you to commit to the bit and then kind of call it a day. But thick globs are good. It is day 3 of this Dollar Tree dining room project, and I wanted to wait overnight for the paint to dry on my planter simply because I never wait for the paint to dry and then I get paint everywhere, and I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. But let me show you how it turned out. So here it is up close. You can see it has all of the texture that you would find in like a planter at like a Home Goods or an at home. But we did it entirely using baking soda. And I'm just putting the peaches in here and setting them in the middle of the table. Again, this would look better with a runner, but all the runners that I found at Dollar Tree were ugly. And then the tablecloths are all made of plastic. And plastic just doesn't scream luxe to me. But this is the more sophisticated looking arrangement, so let me show you what I've got for that. So I'm putting the planter on the table, and then I also have these from my last Dollar Tree video. And if you haven't seen that video yet, click here to go check it out. I do what's worth it at Dollar Tree with the new price increase because they may be raising prices up to $7. But when I was there, I found these wall hangings. They have these hooks on the back. So again, these are $1.25. They come in silver. They come in more of a champagne gold and then this gold as well. I bought these for that video. I styled them. I was using it as like a tray for jewelry, but I thought I could use it as a stand for candles. So of course you could get a candle from Dollar Tree, but I wanted to use something I already had, especially since I didn't plan for this. So I'm just doing this little setup on either side of this planter that we've kind of DIY'd here. And it gives us the effect of having like a runner or like a really solid anchoring of the table without having to use fabric or anything like that. And here's just an up close view of that planter with the candles on either side. I think it really helps to elongate the table, which is exactly the vibe that we were going for. As I've said throughout this video, this is very good if you like the Pottery Barn style or the Our House style or even the Studio McGee style. I think that if you want more of a Studio McGee vibe, I'd probably omit these bowls and go with these matching bowls. But no matter what, I think that this looks incredibly chic and high end, and you were able to accomplish this without breaking the bank. Just think, if you're at a Crate and Barrel or an Our House or Pottery Barn, a table setting like this for just one person would have probably cost $60 or $50. So this really is a steal. And just in case the bowls aren't your vibe, I'm going to rework this with the same centerpiece, but with like the napkins in the fun way that we had them before to see how it really comes together. But I'm actually really happy with this. I would feel confident setting people down and having them dine in my space with this table setting. I think it looks super high end. I think it came together really, really beautifully, and it's super practical. And we didn't have to break the bank to do it, but let's rearrange. All in all, my preferred table setting comes in at $57.50, so I almost doubled the budget, but I'm really happy with this, and even though I did not make it under budget, I think I can say, yes, we did beat this challenge. We are definitely capable of creating a high-end tablescape entirely from Dollar Tree. Let me know, do you think we crushed the challenge or was it a total flop? And do you want to see me do another Dollar Tree challenge like this? Do you want a tablescape for a different design style? Do you want me to, try and do a different room in the home? Let me know down in the comments and I will do the one that gets the most amount of likes down in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and until next time, have a beautiful day.